Hi everybody, my name is Samantha Sylvester. So my research question for you is, are you yourself different from the character you play, specifically in role-playing games? I have always been fascinated by the psychology behind becoming something else or changing the way you think to accommodate a different mindset and personality. I will be talking about neuroplasticity, or the brain's ability to reorganize itself through changing synaptic connections. It sounds complicated, and it is, but it's also something I find really fascinating thanks to a book called The Brain That Changes Itself by Norman Deutsch. The great thing about art school and post-secondary studies is that it's just as much about finding out who you are as it is about learning about the world around us. Lately, I have really been taking that to heart and doing some serious self-exploration and development. One of the inspirations for doing this research was this play that a friend of mine mentioned. He told me about this play called She Kills Monsters by Queen Nguyen. It's about a teenage girl who loses her younger sister, takes up her mantle, and learns a lot about the younger sister through playing as her character. It's a really, really beautiful and empathic story. Dungeons & Dragons is very much an empathy-based game. It's a game you play on feeling out the situations in the world around you as well as the other players you're playing with. So to an extent, I'm also researching empathy, and empathy within myself as well. According to a psychology website, reading fiction books has an impact on your personality and personality traits such as empathy. Reading makes you look at views from different people and helps you understand and develop empathy for how other people think and do things. Similarly, there's a Reddit page for psychology within Dungeons & Dragons. Many people on this page claim they are trained therapists and psychologists, and they state their views on D&D as a sort of coping mechanism, as well as psychologically building the person that you want to be. One psychologist stated that beginner D&D players often create their first characters in their ideal image. They try to embody this character, their ideal self, and better themselves because of it. When I play Dungeons & Dragons, I leave the mortal world behind, as nerdy and cliche as that sounds, I know. For the readers out there, it's like reading a book and being taken on this interactive journey through your head, only you're not alone. There are other people sharing the exact same experience with you, all imagining the same thing. These other people that are playing with you are sharing the same state of madness as stated in this book I was loaned. They humorously make fun of D&D and call the people that play it crazy. I want to research this because it's a deep dive into me as a person, but also into psychology and neuroplasticity, which is something that I'm really interested in and I want to explore further. I did my very best to document this and keep the bias to a minimum. The majority of it will be based on self-experience and what I went through. When I play a certain character, I might not realize it right away, but about partway through the game session I'll realize my back will be sore and my wrist will be bent at like a funny angle, and it'll snap me back to reality. I realize that these things happen because that is how the character I play carries herself. That's how she acts, straight shoulders, and she speaks with her hands, right? Whereas I'm always hunching my shoulders, and I guess I do speak with my hands, but not to such a dramatic effect. But all of a sudden, when I play this character, my posture is better, my mannerisms are different, the way I speak is different, and it's an interesting change to notice. I suddenly realized that things I was doing in the game were not me, but this character speaking through me. I don't realize I've become this character, it just happens, and a few hours later I can't stop talking or moving the way she does. Through the study of these bursts of realization, I came to settle upon the notion that this character has her own personality. Her own way of thinking and doing things are, to an extent, completely her own. My goal here is to show that, yes, I created these characters, and yes, they are a part of me, but that they are inherently not me. They have their own personalities, their own mannerisms, their own ways of thinking. I will do my best to deliver scenarios from my games and explain what was going on through each character's head, and what I would have done differently had I been in that same situation. But first, let me introduce you to my characters. Tally Youngblood, Quoth, and Erlastiel. I'm an avid reader, and both Tally Youngblood and Quoth are from two of my favorite books. Erlastiel is actually a translation of the name Samantha from one of Tolkien's fictional Elvish languages called Queyan, Queyan. This is Quoth. Her main personality traits are she's very sassy, she's impatient, but she's logical. At times, she's very headstrong, she likes to take the lead, and she doesn't like to show weakness. This is Tally Youngblood. She is slightly insane, she's very stubborn, she's kind of manipulative, she will get her way at all costs, and she prefers not to be seen. She's kind of roguish and slightly chaotic. This is Erlastiel. She's judgmental and snobby, she takes a while to warm up to you, but she will guard and defend you with her life. She doesn't like not living in luxury. and she believes wholeheartedly in energy and generally believing in something, whether it's religion or whatever, and she doesn't like to admit she's wrong. When building these characters, I think I subconsciously put aspects of my life into them. For example, Errol Astiel is a life cleric. She's complete with blonde hair and blue eyes, right? I think I subconsciously made her a life cleric because a big part of my life is saving lives. I'm a lifeguard and a first aid instructor, and I didn't really realize it until I started playing her that she was totally bringing out the lifeguard in me. As we were playing, the equivalent of don't run on deck became don't run by the water or you'll fall and die. Don't make me resurrect you. That type of thing. And I realized it even more because she likes to stockpile health kits. And who has 3 first aid kits in the trunk of her car? Me. I do. Totally unnecessarily. Who needs 3 first aid kits? So it's the little things like that that make me realize that yes, these characters are a part of me, including the things I do subconsciously. But the same character is also willing to charge into battle to find the thing she's looking for. She would totally 100% sacrifice herself to finish her mission. She's 100% devoted to the god she worships, and she would totally do anything he asked of her. And that is very much where we differ. Religion is something that I haven't really paid much attention to. There have been a number of events in my life that have led me to the decision of atheism, and I think it wasn't until the past couple of years that I really made my peace with it. Believe in what you want to believe, make your own decisions, do your own research. By no means am I saying that any belief is better than any other. I am simply stating that this character and I have drastically different views on religion as well as how we think and perceive it. 2 drastically different viewpoints, yet both I came up with. With Quoth, because her background is mostly unknown, I will be relating to personality traits and the way she thinks versus my method of thinking. Quoth doesn't really know who she is or where she comes from. She has an affinity for flames and wild things. She once rescued an inn/tavern from being robbed by a group of bandits alongside her friend. She's very much the type of person to plan the method of attack and lead the group to victory. The only thing is, every time I play her, she has the worst luck. During that bar fight, I rolled 4 natural ones in a row. 4 of them. The odds of that are like almost unheard of. It's kind of ridiculous. Quoth is the one I was talking about when I mentioned my posture changing and my mannerisms changing. And she's a tiefling pugilist, which is a homebrewed class for fighter. And she's very self-confident and come at me, bro, and all that kind of thing. So she's always got her shoulders back, her head high, her posture's great, and she's quite flamboyant, which is a little bit different from me because I am not so I still use my hands to talk, but my posture sucks. I don't particularly wish to stand out or attract attention like she does, right? So the way we carry ourselves and the mannerisms and how I change to become her, it's different. And neuroplasticity, right? The ability to change and remap the way you think to accommodate something else. So I find that the switch between yourself and a character totally represents neuroplasticity. So the definition of neuroplasticity is the brain is able to reorganize its synaptic connections. In the book, The Brain That Changes Itself by Norman Doidge, he refers to neuroplasticity in a very medical standpoint, recounting similar, stories from other people who have encountered neuroplasticity. In that case, he talks about stroke victims who can't speak or walk, and people with dyslexia who can't read, using neuroplasticity to their advantage to be able to remap the synaptic connections and allow themselves the ability to read or walk or speak again. So neuroplasticity comes into play with Dungeons and Dragons in that switch of personality, of character, of all of a sudden I'm a different person. I've changed my brain to become this character, right? Whether it's Tali, Quoth, or Erlastiel, as different as they all are, you're changing something. You've become something. You've changed the way you think in order to think as this character, right? So going back to my research question, are you yourself the character that you play when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons? And I think that depending on who you talk to, I think everybody's different. Everybody's accounts will be different. For me personally, I think that no, I myself am not my character. I am a completely different person from Quoth, Tali, Erlastiel. I'm super laid back. Quoth is a go-getter. Tali is I want to fade into the shadows. And Erlastiel is I want to help save everybody. So those are 3 very extreme personalities that differ from me in many different ways. The way they think is different from the way I think. The way they act is different from the way I act. The way they move, carry themselves, speak, it's all different. They are each in their own an individual. And I think that because of that, neuroplasticity is a very real thing, and that no, I am not the character that I play. Doing all of this research really opened my eyes a lot when it comes to psychology and neuroplasticity, and that there is so much more hope to neuroplasticity and people that study it. I hope to continue this research. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, now is your time to ask. Thank you.